Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it.
B.Woods on the Mic podcast, and we had to do it again. The legendary Kevin Slow Jammin James. Everybody's been asking, and I know you have so much more to share. First of all, what up, Big Kev? I like the Dog Pound t-shirt. Hey.
Yeah, I'm dog pounded out.
Very West Coast. Very West Coast. I love it. I love it. And you've been repping for the West Coast, and that's why I had to get you back, because you just had so many different experiences with so many legendary hip hop artists, and Eazy-E, one of the biggest hip hop artists on the West Coast. You had a very special relationship with Eazy-E, and what happened with that?
Well, let's piece this together. So we have to go back into time.
Yes, indeed.
So I was in Washington, D.C., and it was like a day or 2 days before I moved to Los Angeles. I think it was July 2nd, 1990. I'm watching TV. You know those shows, I don't know if they do them anymore, like Nightline. It was like Ted Koppel with Nightline, one of those shows like that.
Right.
And this guy they were interviewing. So I'm watching. And then this guy's talking about cop killing and stuff like that. And I'm looking at my TV. I said, why is this man saying that? Why is he talking about killing cops? I don't get it. I said, I don't like you. I was talking to the TV. I said, I don't like you.
Right, right.
That was Eazy-E. 2 days later, I moved to Los Angeles.
Okay.
To pursue a voiceover career. And we've talked about before how I ended up on the beat, so I won't go through that whole story.
Right.
But I ended up on 92.3 The Beat when I had no idea that I would ever get back into radio. But I could not turn down the opportunity to work in the second largest radio market. That was Los Angeles. So anyway, I ended up on The Beat. And I don't know how long in, because the beginning was more like an R&B station.
Right.
Oh, I forget what the term it was, but it wasn't a rap station. Then at some point during my early stages at The Beat, they changed the format to rap and hip hop. And I think we went over that before. I wasn't invited to the meeting. They were going to fire me. Well, they kept me. Boy, did they make a mistake, huh? So anyway, I end up on The Beat. And Keith Nathalie was the program director. And early on, he would say, Kevin, I have you still on the radio, but I don't know if it will last. I don't know what you do. Let me think about it. So I just let him think about it. I kept doing my show. Then I'd go into his office like once a week, and he goes, I don't know yet. Next time, it's marinating. I go, oh, okay. Next time, he goes, all right, I don't know what you do, but I like it. You got a show.
On the air.
Oh, and we talked about Martin Lawrence being a big help in getting me more airtime.
Right.
But he wasn't the only one. They hired this guy, Eric Wright, Eazy-E, to do a radio show called The Ruthless Radio Show. And also, that was when mixers started doing their mixing thing. And he was like a consultant to people that were doing mixes. And then his radio show. So it didn't take too long before on Yucca Street here in Hollywood, where The Beat was, love that location, by the way. I see him in the lobby. and the general office area. I said, Easy. He said, Kevin. He said, Kevin James. I said, you know me? He goes, of course I know you. So we started talking. First thing I said to him was this story I just told you. Saw you on TV. I didn't like it. Blah, blah, blah. But then when I got to LA, you know, gangs are everywhere.
Right.
But it was different in LA. There was blue, red, Crips, blood. And then I started learning the culture of that segment of Los Angeles. I understood these were young men or women that didn't really have a family. So the family became, you know, those gangs in particular, right? They were like family.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to understand it, you know. And then I told him, I said, you know, I watched this TV show and I didn't like you. So the same story I just told you.
Right.
And he goes, I can't believe you're telling me that story, Kevin. I said, I'm telling you that for a reason. First impressions quite often are not correct. I said, that was not correct. I really admire you. I really like you. So I really appreciated to hear the backstory and the result that I really liked him and respected him. Mm-hmm. And understood more about Los Angeles and rap and NWA and all of that, because it was a learning process for me. I came from WKYS in Washington, D.C. We didn't play rap, you know. It's a different vibe. It was an education for me. Well, we talked more and more. He had an office there at the Beat. We sit down and talk for, 15, 20 minutes. So one day he says to me, he said, Kevin, do you know why other rappers hate me? I said, I didn't realize they hate you. He goes, oh, they do. I said, why? He said, because I make all the money. I learned the business side of the game. That's where the money is. The writing, the publishing, and those areas where they went for the money, the houses, the women. He said, I went straight for the dollars. So he told me all of that. And we had many in-depth conversations. He was so cool. Then he was getting ready to prepare his album, Easy, Time for Love, or something like that. And he had me record drops for him. But then we know what happened not long after he passed away. And we don't know all the circumstances behind that. It was a crazy time. But he went to the program director and said, Kevin needs more airtime. He's being listened to. The street is vibing with Kevin, Slow Jammin' James. He got me another day on the radio.
That is, so Eazy vouched for you to get on another day.
Yeah, and then I got more fill-in. I would fill in for Diana Steele during the middays. But when he went to the program director, Keith Naphtali, he went to bat for me. And that increased my, not visibility, but audibility, because at that point I probably would have been fired. So basically, Eazy-E saved my career.
That's incredible. And it's just, and did you guys, the relationship that you had, I mean, did he tell you right after you went to the program director, did he call you, and how did that work?
I saw him in the hall again, and then he told me, he said, I went to Keith and I told him what was happening. He was much into lowriders and stuff like that. And, he donated some lowrider cars for the Beat, whether it's for an event or a contest or whatever. He was very, very giving. But I owe it all to him. I don't think I would be in radio right now if it wasn't for Eazy-E. And this is a story we didn't talk about last time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible how, one legend to another, how one moment in your relationship with him saved your career and took you to the next level. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible.
It really is. And I owe a lot to a lot of people, but he was the main force behind me staying on the radio. And we would have many, many talks. And, very pleasant. Like I said, he had a little office area there at the Beat.
What was your favorite things to talk about with Eazy?
Just life, just general things, nothing really heavy other than the stories where he told me about how he made the money in the business and why he wasn't liked by others because he followed the money trail. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember the specific other conversations because they were just more like two guys talking.
Right. And it's incredible because one of those things is just like you're in a space where you don't realize the impact of of what this person could potentially do and their legendary impact. And so it's just just listening to that, it's dope to know that you guys had such a close relationship.
And especially when I saw that TV program, it was introduced to him by that TV show and didn't like him. And all of a sudden, I mean, what are the odds of that? I ended up going to LA and I didn't come to LA to do radio. Then, a couple of months down the road, there I am standing right in front of that guy, Eazy-E.
Eazy-E, the big homie. And yeah, RIP to Eazy-E. And then Julio G was there also during that time frame also.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And that's super dope. And then as far as Kevin's career, are there any other hip hop artists that like you just are super just kind of tight with? I mean, we know about Snoop. I mean, now we know about Eazy. Obviously the Dog Pound. Are there any more that really, really touched you from you being in an R&B space?
Early on, because of the close relationship between Snoop and Dre. So Dre was very kind to me. And I don't know if we talked about my days at Death Row Records, did I?
We touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, and every time I went to Death Row Records to record my little drops and stuff, I would see Dre every time walking out of the building. And he looked so little because his control board was the size of that room you're sitting in right there. By the way, I like your shirt. Okay, so anyway, I have the same routine every time. I'd wave. Hey, Dre. He goes, come on in, Kevin. I go, you're busy. You're recording. Another time. So I had the same spiel each time. I kind of wish, looking back in retrospect, if I gone back in and go and really observed everything, but it's just wanted to be respectful to him and what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I know the subject of this segment, part 2, was about Eazy-E. And once again, I owe a lot of my career to a lot of people. But thinking that I came from Washington, D.C., WKYS, Donnie Simpson, etc. And I was an R&B DJ. And to maybe not from the beginning, but very close to the beginning of my days on the beat, I got embraced by the rap and hip hop community. And I had to think about it, like, why is that? What is the attachment there? Then I realized, first of all, I was playing really different music that LA wasn't used to. Mm-hmm. And it was just stuff I've always played. And, music is universal, even though they told me I was playing East Coast music. I said, there is no such thing. Music is music.
Right.
And then I realized the music I was playing were songs that were rare and they would care. And they go like, oh, I could sample that, because nobody wants to always record from, a sample between the sheets and stuff like that, things that everybody knows, So they would tune in to hear these little rare songs. And I played a lot of rare songs.
And I think that's, like you said, that's the biggest difference, because you dug deep in the crates And that's the difference when it comes to a dope sample in hip hop, is just that when you go dig in the crates, and at the time there wasn't like the internet like that where you can just kind of skim through music like that. And so you were really the voice of that next wave of just deep music, especially in LA where everything is super programmed even to this day. So
Right. I was very fortunate, and have always been very fortunate, to program my own music. Not that my program directors wanted that, but if the results are there, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I've been very blessed. And I think whether it was Martin Lawrence being on my show at the Beat, whether it was Snoop or Eazy-E, that acknowledgement from them went a long way for the programmers who, you know, they don't like to change stuff. You know, it's not what we are, but they let me do what I do because of the aforementioned people we're talking about.
yeah, and it's so dope because they're all connected. I mean, and everybody has this relationship. And that, what was your, because I remember on part one you mentioned you were at the Arsenio Hall show. What was your relationship with Arsenio?
Arsenio?
Yeah.
Arsenio Hall?
Yes.
Yeah, I had several people that would co-host a show with me on the Beat. He was one of them.
Okay.
And you know, Arsenio, the main thing with him, I saw the interview with Snoop with Arsenio, which was to this day one of the most golden interviews ever. Controversial, but unreal. So the night after I saw that show with Snoop and Arsenio, the next day, that's when I met Snoop.
Okay.
And then you're asking about other people. So there's Dre. I was very close with Nate Dogg. Did we talk about Nate Dogg last time?
We talked about Nate a little bit. Yeah.
My favorite to this day. Love Nate Dogg.
Yeah. All right.
I'm on one of his tracks on his album. I've done so many of these skits, I forget where I've been.
And that's why
I know I'm on Kurupt's album, The Dog Pound, Nate Dogg. I'm doing some stuff for Daz and his new album.
oh, okay. Yeah, talk about that. Plug that really quick. What's going on with Daz and the new album? Well, what are you doing?
I did him some drops. I don't know if they're going to be on the album or he's just going to use them personally. But Daz and I stay in touch. Really, really good people.
Mm-hmm.
Daz Dillinger.
Yeah, shout out to Daz. And what grew your relationship with Daz?
Just the Dog Pound. You know, the fact that you know, working with him and Snoop on that original dog food album, and then we just have stayed in touch.
And what's that relationship like? Because it's just like you guys seems like you guys are on the same page musically. Is it like check-ins every couple of weeks or months and hey, how's it going? Like, what's that relationship like?
I can't put a time frame on it, but we do stay in touch. You know, I'll send him a message. He sends me a message. You know, he'll ask me something, and he listens to my show. Yeah, Snoop Dogg's Cadillac Music on Dash Radio. There's the plug. There it is, right there.
There it is.
So he checks in from time to time, and sometimes he'll post on Instagram, you know, him listening to the show.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
Yeah. He's a fan of the music, fan of the show. We're a fan of each other.
Yeah.
And Kurupt too.
And shout out to Kurupt. Yeah, big shouts out to Kurupt too, because I see he likes a lot of your stuff on IG also. And did you do your homework? Did you reach out to Martin? Did you reach out to DJ Quick? Did you reach out to Snoop so they can retouch with you?
Let me check my assignment book. Oops.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Actually, I'm going to call Martin tomorrow.
Okay, do that. Yeah.
And I sent a messages, because of what we did last time, tagged him on your episodes and everything.
Okay,
But
no.
I need to speak to him.
Yeah, definitely speak to him. How often did you go to the Martin show? Just out of curiosity, because I'm a fan of Martin. So I was just like, how often were you at the tapings of the iconic Martin show?
I don't know how many times, probably 3, 4, maybe 5 times.
Okay.
Because I was walking distance. I lived in Toluca Lake, and those studios weren't far from there. And I think sometimes I drove, but I hated to drive because sometimes they gotta make you aware that they don't have car alarms and stuff like that. So sometimes I walk over there, but several times.
And then when you go over there, you just kind of hang out, or what happens?
No, I just watched the show, and then a couple of times, I know one time Snoop was on the Martin show, so I went into the dressing room or whatever. He was getting his hair done, and talked with Snoop before he went on to the Martin show.
That's dope. I remember that episode too. That's when Snoop had the big afro, and then they had the party.
That's what in there. They were doing his big afro.
Yeah, and then I think it was Cole's cousin that was Snoop, and then they were trying to have some party. It was a big house party at the apartment, and then they had everybody clean up. So yeah, so that's a dope episode. Okay.
Yeah. So that episode, they would just invite me, and the other times I would just observe and leave.
Okay, yeah. And big shouts out to Martin. Big shouts out to Eazy-E. And Easy played, so like you said, just a huge part. Like we probably wouldn't be talking if it wasn't for the great Eazy-E.
Yeah, and by the way, there's a song I play by the Voices of East Harlem. It's called Giving Love. So Martin got me up on that song. And then Snoop fell in love with that song, Giving Love by the Voices of East Harlem.
Wow.
And, it's Martin and his sister used to call me every weekend for requests at WKYS. So, of course, he's from DC. So we had a relationship before I got to Los Angeles.
And he was just, was he doing entertainment stuff, or was he just like a listener at that point?
He was doing comedy.
Okay, got you.
Yeah,
got you.
I don't know how long into the comedy game he was, but that's what he was doing. And I don't remember the year he moved to Los Angeles. I don't know.
And do you think because Martin obviously cared about radio, he's calling into radio shows, do you think that's the reason why he did WZUP on the Martin show and become a radio jock? Do you think that influenced it at all?
I don't know for a fact, but I would say yes. What's up, radio? Yeah. So that would have to be with his love for radio. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
My show had to do with it. I don't know, but I'm going to ask him when I call him, because that's my assignment.
Yeah, that's your assignment. That's your assignment. So yeah, you could have been the inspiration for WZUP. What's up? What's up? What's up? So.
Oh, that's very good, by the way.
Yeah, I've been working on it. So, so yeah, no, it's just so interesting, and you have so many different experiences, and that's why we had to do a part 2 of this interview with Mr. Kevin Slow Jammin James, and big shouts out to obviously all your relationships. You're working with Daz right now, doing your thing, and is there anything else that we need to know what with Kevin Slow Jammin James with Cadillac Music?
For a while, Kurupt's daughter was an intern with me for almost 6 months. So she was an intern at the compound.
No kidding.
And she goes by the name Kennedy Gray. And she's a great singer. I'm trying to get some of her music to start playing. She's really, really good.
Oh, nice. And what type of R&B is it?
Regular, well, I don't know, but I know I had her sing a couple songs that I like that are, true, like a Shaka Khan. What's the name of the song? Come on, what's the name of the song? No, not Shaka Khan. Hold on. We'll move on. But am I right? Am I wrong?
I'm bad at remembering names of songs. I'm the worst at it. Even working in radio all these years, like if you ask me a name of a song, I have to look at it.
But anyway, she's really an accomplished singer, and I'm going to reach out to her along with Martin. That's my assignment.
Those are your assignments. Put them on the refrigerator, mark them in red pen, and just check them off as you go. And yeah, definitely, tap in with these folks, because we love you, Kev, and we definitely want to make sure that you continue to get your flowers, and that's why we gotta let you know. We definitely gotta let you know.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you're doing. Your podcasts are amazing.
Thank you.
Because you're such a good interviewer. You make people. That's what good interview people do. They make people feel comfortable. So you're really good at what you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, especially coming from you. You know what I mean? Like it really does. I just tried my best just to at least, give people space to be able to share their experience, because there's genuine curiosity with me, and I definitely, want to know what's in your heart, what's in your space, and I think that's dope. So yeah.
And once again, I'm very fortunate to come from a background, first of all, East Coast to West Coast, and to be accepted equally by both. And Snoop brings that up to me. He says, you're one of the few people that have a reputation East Coast and West Coast and in between.
Yeah, no doubt. Because like for me, you definitely rep for the West Coast for me. And I'm a super LA native. And so the energy in LA is different though. It's like, it's what you contribute to the city almost makes you a native. Like Pac wasn't from LA, but we think of him as an LA guy. Kobe wasn't from LA, but we think of him as an LA guy just because the energy that they gave to the city. Same thing with you. You've contributed so much to the city. So it's like, okay, we think of you as like an LA dude, so.
Yeah, at this point, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm West Coast all the way.
Yeah. West Coast, throw up your dub. And did you have a relationship with Pac at all, with Tupac?
I met him 2 times. One time was at Death Row Records. We happened to be at the lobby desk at the same time, and he's wearing a Pac cap, and he gave it to me. I don't know what happened to it.
Okay, so how does that work? Did he just say, "Hey, Kevin, what's up?" Or what was the conversation like?
It was very, very brief because he was going in to record, but what little seconds there were, pretty special.
Okay, and then
you don't know. I mean, he was big, but today he's huge. Tupac, but I mean, he was huge then too. But that was a really cool moment.
And he just gave you the hat. He was just like, "Yo, this is for you." Okay.
Yeah, he said, "Here." I said, "Thank you." Back then, we didn't have a lot of cell phones and things like that, so I did, have the opportunity to document a lot of these things that happened to me, because once again, what year was that? I mean, I don't think I even had a cell phone.
I had a beep.
Yeah, and also when you're talking about music, we didn't have, what was that? There was something where people could download music, but it was really awful.
Like Napster or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. But back then, you didn't have a lot of the internet capability to look something up and hear a song, whatever. So in a way, that was an advantage for me playing music, because they couldn't get it anywhere else.
Yeah, they had to come to you, and you were and the thing is too, it was even more exclusive because you played your own, you had your own playlist, and so and you were at a different time slot to where you had to really dig in deep to really hear it. And then Sunday nights were always in LA, where it was considered like a slow jams night. It was considered just like, okay, this is the night where you relax, you chill, you have a glass of wine, and you listen to some slow jams, and you chill out. So you kind of branded that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I said, I was accepted very quickly, and I didn't know I was playing different music. I didn't know it till Roger Clayton called me. He had a big record store, DJ Records in South Central. He says, "I don't know who you are, but I know what you're doing." He says, "You're making an impact." I was only there like a couple of weeks when he called me, and I used to do in stores with my slow jams, the Timeless Collection series. First stop, Vermont and Imperial to DJ Records, and then I would go to Warehouse Records, all the you name it, Poobah Records. I did a lot of in stores signing CDs.
Man, and the CD collection, you own all of the CD collections and all that.
Well, it was Capitol Records, Right Stuff Records that brought it out, but I was the compilation producer, which means I picked out all the tracks. Not only that, I'd go to a studio in Hollywood and work with the engineer, make sure everything went together properly. Because before, not saying before, well, going back, not many CDs had the songs. There was like 2 seconds or 3 seconds between tracks. That's what they did, whether it was cassette or CD. I remember asking the engineer, I said, "Can we just jam these together? I mean, not over each other, but can we just put a sliver between the two so they'll track up on your CD player?" He said, "Absolutely." So I'm thinking that was the first of its kind to make it sound like it was a radio show as opposed to a CD with separate tracks. Therefore, the songs, not only did I pick them out, but I would sequence them in an order like I would on the radio, so they would blend.
Oh, that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. And then when you do the CD like that, obviously the reception, people obviously they buy it too. Did you have artists, because since you were digging deep in the crate, did you have a lot of artists trying to get on your track since you handpicked everything? How did that work?
I picked out the tracks, and you don't always get what you want. Okay. Because they have to, the particular label, a lot was Motown. They had to give you the rights. Sometimes you had to pay for the licensing. So it was not an easy thing for Tom Cartwright, who was the president of Right Stuff Records. And not everything that I asked for did we get. Okay. But most of them we did. Okay. And they'd always ask me to put things on there from Capitol Records. That's why they had to toot their own horn. So O'Brien, other artists, I made sure got on there to appease the record. But the series did really, really well. In fact, Volume 1, Slow Jams, the Timeless Collection, and I think it's maybe the first time in history, a compilation made the Billboard Top 100, and it debuted at number 45.
Oh, congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, not just R&B charts, but
everything.
100. And then I think Volume 2 came in at like 62 or something like that. So that was a real feather in our cap, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. Have you ever done like a concert series?
No. You mean like a live concert, or
like a Kevin Slow Jam and James concert series where it's the artist in person of the music that you generally play? Or have you ever been approached by promoters to do something like that?
I haven't done any live concert events. But I did do, oh, hold on, there's more. I was the compilation producer for the Greatest Hits by Maze, Whispers Greatest Hits Volume 2, and more. I forget some of the things that I did, but yeah, I was really trusted by, well, I was trusted because the sales went through the roof. So whatever they asked me to do. And then I think I was part of the Dramatics Greatest Hits too. So I've been very, very blessed, especially, like I said, coming to LA from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. A friend, he's still a friend. Yeah. Eric J. Turner. We played softball together in DC. He ended up coming out working for Capitol Records. And he called me one day and said, would you like to come meet Tom Cartwright? He puts together the Slow Jams series. They had slow jams in the 70s, slow jams in the 80s, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, yeah. So I'm just going to meet the man. And he looks at me and he goes, well, what do you want to do? I go, what do you mean, what do I want to do? You want to do a series? He caught me off guard. I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. He said, what are we going to call it? I mean, right on the spot. What are you going to call it? I didn't even had any time to think. So the first thing I said, well, you're doing the 70s and 80s. How about Slow Jams, the Timeless Collection? He said, yeah. So that's how that was born. Like in a not a split second, but like in a moment, I came up with that at the top of my head, and it became, the whole series went gold, whatever, I don't know.
And so, like, how did they market it? Since you were on the radio, were you syndicated at the time, or were you just at the beat when you were doing it to get the marketing to really chart? How did that work?
At the beat, I don't think I was syndicated at the time, even though I did have a syndicated show, but it wasn't at that time. But I did a lot of in-stores, like I said, all over Los Angeles. I don't care what neighborhood it was, I was there. And how else did they promote it?
How did the marketing happen for it to chart nationally, though?
Very good question. Did they do something on their part to introduce it? I don't know. But it popped up there, I mean, like real quick. Yeah. I have to ask Tom Cartwright how they marketed it, other than me talking about it on the radio.
Yeah.
Which I did a lot.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's really, really, really interesting. And would you, because I don't even know like the digital space in terms of music art, would you do anything similar to that now, whatever that would be?
I'm glad you asked. I've always wanted to do a Mother's Day CD. Nobody's ever done that. And I'm going to talk to Snoop about that, see if we can put that out in the digital realm. So a Mother's Day CD. Nobody's ever done that.
Yeah.
And mother specific, I did Slow Jams Christmas, which ended up being #1 in the country when it came out.
Right. That would be great. That's the Mother's Day would be huge, and yeah, that would definitely do that. And then if you were to be inclined to also, Snoop is doing a lot of stuff in the metaverse. And if he could get you in the metaverse and in some type of real estate space, old school slow jam space, I think that would be super dope.
I'm going to talk to him about that. Yeah. I think that's a very good idea because, I didn't understand NFTs and all that stuff. I still don't really, to a certain degree, but I know how popular they are. So I need to get educated and be a part of whatever I can. But especially a Mother's Day CD, you think through all these years, somebody would have come up with a Mother's Day CD.
Yeah.
And probably because they can't think of that many Mother's Day songs. But guess what? There are a lot. But a lot of them are the rare ones that you wouldn't think of.
What's one that off top do you think is a great Mother's Day song?
One by GAT, G.A.T. And I'm forgetting the name of the song. GAT, a song about mama. And Intruders, I always love my mama. That's not a slow jam. But there's Dorothy Moore with Pen in Hand. They talk about mother. Jermaine Jackson, Oh Mother. Earth, Wind and Fire, Mom. There's a lot of them that you wouldn't think of because they're not generally played on the radio. So
Right.
Mine.
Yeah, that would be huge, and I think everybody would absolutely love that. And now you have, if Kevin James was trapped on a deserted island and only could play one song over and over and over again, what one song would it be?
I have so many favorites. The Knights, Nights, Country Girl.
That would be it?
Yeah, you don't know that one, do you?
No, I don't.
See, I saw that look in your face, like you went.
Yeah, that one goes deep. No, I don't know that. So I'll listen to it though. The Knights, you said Country Girl?
Country Girl by the Knights.
By the Knights.
A quick story. A listener way back when at WKYS asked for the Knights Country Girl. I went shopping. I can't remember the name of the place, but in Maryland, I went to this shop and I'm going crazy. You know, they just had the 45s, you know, those little separators, and I'm going on under K, Knights. I found nothing by Knights. And I got kind of angry. So I said, I'm leaving it. And this store was huge. This is so odd. So I'm walking out the store and I'm very enamored by lights and color. And keep in mind, this 45s bin was huge, thousands of songs. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw this orange label. I went, that's pretty. So I pick it up. I said, I wonder what this is. It was the Knights. And I was spelling it wrong. Nights. That was the record. I was so excited. That had to be one of the greatest finds ever.
Yeah.
And then I started playing it on the radio. And I had it on Slow Jams, Timeless Collection. That or anything by Confunction. I love Confunction.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope. And what's the Knights like? What's the reception on the phones? Do you get a lot of phone calls for that song?
I have several listeners. That's their favorite song.
Okay.
But you know, times are different. You know, we don't get phone calls. You know, everything is through social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I was at a radio station, there'd be a phone number, but so it's Instagram, Facebook, etc.
And do you interact a lot with when you're online doing like catalog music, and do you interact live with the listeners online a lot?
I really don't. I'm thinking about doing Twitch. I don't know much about Twitch.
Yeah.
I might switch to Twitch. I don't know. But I'm always available. I check my email constantly. I check Instagram and Facebook constantly. And I have my notifications on my phone. So that'll pop up, you know, if I have a notification.
Yeah, I think that would be, go ahead.
But that's me. I stay in touch with the listeners. I mean, that's my bread and butter.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most important part. You know, the more I do these interviews, the more it always comes back to the listener interaction, the relationship with the listeners. And it's the most important thing, because especially with even terrestrial radio now, most of that has just been diminished. But the reason why people like different things is like that interaction is dope. I like it. It's a big deal. So yeah.
And that's always been me, because I say I'm a real person playing real music for real people. It's that simple.
Mm.
We're all the same, you know. I have to be the one, you know, pulling the trigger on playing the music. By the way, I still have this mop on my head.
Yeah, there we go. Got the hair, got it popping.
Yeah, I was told to put this. See, these curls just come all the way down. So
yeah.
I'm hiding behind my ears. So
Yeah.
I don't look too goofy.
Nah, you look good. That's dope. I like the fit. The fit is dope. The fit is dope. So yeah, Big Kevin, thank you so much. The legendary Kevin Slow Jammin James. Go ahead and plug all your social medias real quick. Mm-hmm.
Instagram, Slow Jam James. Facebook, Kevin James. Website, slowjam.com. What else is out there? I guess
MySpace.
when I post on Instagram, it goes automatically to Twitter. So.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah, everything. Slow jamming everything. So you're good to go. Thank you so much. Definitely always good talking to you, bringing us the history, the heat, the music, and just great stories. The legendary Kevin Slow Jammin James.
I got a question for you.
What's
before
up?
we go?
Mm-hmm.
When you did the last one, you're playing the song Slow Jam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you playing the version by Babyface or Midnight Star?
I think it's the Usher version because Instagram has they don't have Midnight Star on their playlist.
Oh,
That's what's going on. So it's like you type in Midnight Star and they give you like generic. So it's like, okay, I gotta do the next big thing. Our best thing, yeah.
Oh, okay. You just can't play the song Midnight Star.
Yeah, no, it's not on there. It's not on there where you can choose from it. So
oh, I see. So it's the platform for where you're shooting out your podcast.
yeah, so I think they have Usher version. Like you said, yeah, Babyface. So they've done a few versions of it. So
okay, a little trivia.
Okay.
Midnight Star, that's my theme song from No Parking on the Dance Floor. Slow Jam was written by Babyface.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
So then I think Usher had a version. I think Babyface had his own version. I don't know.
Yeah,
But he wrote the song.
That's Babyface is, that's a super genius too. Did you have a relationship with Babyface? Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
There was an event here in LA, and it was one of those things where I said hello, and that was really quick. There's another person. You got a minute?
Yeah.
Another person that was big on the slow jams, and I met Ice Cube one day at Snoop's compound, and he was getting in a hurry to get out. And I said, "Hey, Kevin Slow Jam and James." He said, "Kevin," he said, "DJ Crazy Tunes loved your music," and I guess Ice Cube and Tunes were very closely working together. But he said that's all he would talk about. Kevin Slow Jam and James and Slow Jam. So sometimes what I'm saying here, even with what you do, you reach further than you would ever think. You could go to India tomorrow and somebody go, B.Woods.
Right.
Hey, I dig what you do.
It's incredible. Yeah, like you don't, especially like doing the radio, you really don't, because radio is such the medium in itself. You kind of just do it and then you touch so many people, and you've been doing it for such a long time and has been so impactful that people feel like you're a part of their family, the relationships, and like you said, it's global. It's a global synergy that happens when you do it, and then it's passed on to kids, and it's just a different vibe. So yeah, you definitely have an impact, because I know you go places and people are like, oh shit, like it's Kevin, like I remember when, because that's the thing about R&B versus hip hop, is that R&B is very much, you remember a lot of moments, a lot of emotional moments, right? The first kiss, the first dance, mom, relationships, sad times, good times, middle times, and people tap into that when they go into a time machine when they listen to R&B. So for you being the pilot of this R&B ship, so to speak, you take a lot of people's personal experiences with you, which is insane, which is kind of crazy.
I've always said they're bookmarkers of our life. Every song, not every song, but each song has a memory to somebody, and probably a different memory, but there's a memory there attached to it. And that's because the R&B, especially the older R&B, has lyrical content, harmony. There are a lot of things that go in that make them special, which means I don't play a lot of current music because they don't hit me right.
And I think a lot of it has, I think there's a lot of dope R&B. The writing on the older R&B is just different because you can tell it's not coming from a space of, it doesn't feel contrived. It's coming from real situations, real moments, and you see it in people's faces when something comes on, like an Isley Brothers, like, ooh, you see that energy that just comes because it's just like they felt it, so they pass on that. That's why those songs still hit to this day.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, they're bookmarkers. They pinpoint parts of our lives, and those moments never are erased. And like I said, whether it's "Let's Get It On" by Marvin Gaye could be a moment for somebody, and a different moment for somebody else, but they're moments. What's your song? Name one.
My song, let's see, that's a good one. I like a lot of, you just mentioned Marvin Gaye. I like a lot Isley Brothers. What is one of my favorite slow jam songs?
See, the shoes on the other foot now.
Exactly. I like Between the Sheets. Yeah. Off top, let's see. I do like a lot of, I'm a 90s R&B guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like for me, I like a lot of like Deborah Cox. I'll go Kevin Campbell. I'll go 702. Like I like a lot of, I like in clumps of music. And then once I get into the 70s, then I'm chilling. I'm good. I have to know the titles. I have to really I'll hear it and I'll know it.
Yeah. Same with me. You know, people say, "What's your favorite song?" Well, you know, I draw a blank because there's so many of them. You know that I go, I don't know.
And I think a lot of it, yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with like as radio personalities. There's so much music thrown at us every single moment, you know, and so you're listening to hip hop, you're listening to R&B, you're listening to what people give you, and then after the second or third generation, you're like, okay, these are thousands and thousands and thousands of songs that I have to and it just becomes a big thing after a while.
I have one little story, and I might have talked about it the first time. I used to visit my mom in Philadelphia a lot, like not weekly, but every 2 weeks at least. I'd go from Union Station on the Amtrak to 30th Street Station, Philadelphia, go see mom. She knew my routine. Go get a cheesesteak, go get a pretzel, go to the Wawa store, then go record shopping. So one time I go to the store, and the store had everything, you know, Walkmans, phones, you name it. I got another little story with that too. I go in the store one day. Am I taking too much time?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I walk in the store, and my phone that I was looking for was, my mom had trouble seeing the numbers because her eyesight wasn't good. So I went to buy a phone with big numbers. So I go into the store and I say to the guy, "I would like to have that phone right there. That's got big numbers." He says to me straight out, "W balls." I said, "What are you saying?" He said, "W balls." I said, "Why would you talk to a customer like that saying W balls?" He said, "You're not fooling me." He said, "You're the W balls guy." What are the odds of this? He had just come to work. and he was listening to the Dog Pound album, and he had just finished hearing my part on the track Smooth. He says, "That's you." I said, "You caught me. That's me." Yeah. And then another record store, I went in, and the guy says, "Hey, I've got this," back then they called them 12-inch, just like an album, but it was just one song on it.
Mm-hmm.
The guy said, "This sounds like something you play on your radio show, Kevin." He goes, "Nope, nobody wants it. Here, just take it." I took it home to DC, and I listened. I went, "This is kind of cool." I started playing it. That song was "Turn Off the Lights" by the World Class Wrecking Crew. Now, who was the World Class Wrecking Crew? Michelet, Ren, a guy by the name of, what's this guy's name?
Yeah,
Think of somebody.
I don't know the name, but I know where you're going. And Turn Off the Lights is classic.
Dr. Dre was on there. And that was before he was really super Dr. Dre. I think back in the day, he used to do parties where he played music at parties. So that was real early. So I started playing that song. I'm in DC. Eventually, I come out to LA.
Mm-hmm.
I start playing it on the beat. That was 2 years later. It was like a brand new song on the beat, but I played it 2 years preceding. And that was, like I said, I was promoting a Dr. Dre who nobody knew at that time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And we talk about records. Did I tell you about the story about the song I found in the trash?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
As we lay. So we're pretty much caught up.
Yeah, we're caught up, till, we, and anytime that you want to share any more stories from the vault, I got you, Kev. You have an open door policy here, and that's the way we roll over here on the B.Woods on the Mic podcast.
Well, I really appreciate it, and hopefully people like it. And let me know what I can do to promote this and the last one. And I really appreciate the exposure and a way to tell these stories that maybe give hope to a lot of young artists, that, they can get their shot. It might come from the most unlikely place, but it can happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that you've given, and you never, like you said, you never know. And all things, like the reason why we're all here is just all these strange coincidences kind of happen, and it kind of leads us to these amazing moments. So that's the part that is so dope about the stories that you tell, because it's just like one day something's here, and then now it, Eazy's helping you stay on the air, and you're taking, a song out the garbage, and now it becomes the biggest record ever. Like, so you never know how these little things just kind of all attach to one another.
Yeah, the dots connect. Might be a dot here, and then all of a sudden, maybe like a Rubik's Cube, we start going, all these dots coming together or something,
Yeah, that's this thing we call life. And so, yeah, God bless us, and we're here. So thank you again, Kevin, Slow Jammin, James.
Thank you.
I just said, the door is always open, brother.
I'll think of more stories. Don't worry, I'm not done with you.
More to come. B.Woods on the Mic podcast.
Okay, thank you.